Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight you guys asked for it. Well, maybe you didn't ask for it, but I put up a poll on my channel and said, hey, I got a couple ideas for what I should do tonight. I've got good videos on a brand new ship or some other ships that we run more frequently, or we could do a stream tonight. And you guys, well in hand, I don't know how decidedly, landslide victory for the new ship. And as you guys may have guessed, considering it was the only battleship that I didn't currently own that was a tech tree battleship, it is the Tier 7 French battleship, the Richelieu. Now, we already know the high points of the Richelieu, and that is these 8 380mm guns that are over the bow of the ship. But what you don't know, maybe, or maybe you do, is that this thing has the ridiculous secondaries on the back of the ship. I believe they're 152mm, but we'll go over that in a minute. Let's get to it. How do we check our captains now? Okay, we want to go to upgrade. How do we do our That's filters. Do we have to go to commanders now to do this? Fine, we'll go to commanders. As you guys have already seen in previous videos, Robert Gigard is our commander for the French battleships. Now, his obvious trait is borer, but he also has flammable cannoneer, gyrating drill bits. We changed it up a little bit and went with megalomania. Now, the megalomania gives you a reduced duration of increased detectability of your battleship after firing the main guns, as well as quickening their reload time. So the reload time of the battleship's main gun has been reduced by 7.5%. That is sneaky good. Sneaky good. Megalomania is one of those perks that you don't look at right away, because I'm used to having, dispersion. But then you look at it and you're like, 7.5% reload buff, plus the battleship's detectability after firing the main guns is reduced by 18.75%. So after you fire your guns, instead of being lit up for 10 seconds, you drop that by 18%. So you're like, I don't know, close to 20%, which is almost 2, so a little over 8 seconds. Doesn't seem like much, but it could be the difference between a guy getting his guns on you or not. But yeah, moving on, we've got reaching out XXL, getting that extra range, which for these guns is kind of important for the beyond mid-range engagements. But you could definitely go with this if you wanted to, with damage control, reload time. It's not a bad perk, because you're going to get into a lot of situations where you're getting broken guns and stuff, so the damage control not a bad play here, but I kind of prefer having the extra range. And we are a Legend Class 1, and the amount of HP recovered is 3%. Now, I decided to stop at Legend Class 1 for this reason. Now, you get a penalty increase as well with Legendary Rank 2. Yes, you go up by another 2% of the AP damage. Yes, you get a 0.3 degrees per second buff to your turret speed, but the 3% extra on your battleship speed is noticeable. I noticed it on my Iowa pretty bad. Don't really recommend going beyond Legendary Rank 1 in this particular ship. It needs its mobility. That's kind of its calling card. So, yeah, definitely holding on to the speed a little bit here. And, of course, my commander's inspirations are Andrew Cunningham. Obviously, for every commander you have, pretty much going to have to be him. As far as battleships, you got to have that extra 4.5% bonus to the precision of your main batteries is heavily good on your battleships. And then, of course, Charles Madden. I've got him for the extra reload time buff. He's still really low level, so I don't get much out of him. But also main battery traverse speed. Still haven't changed him. I'm thinking about it, but, old habits are hard to break. Now, getting back to the ship. If we go back to standard, the Richelieu. Nope. Oh god. You can tell the new UI is going to be a little difficult for me to learn. Again, old habits hard to break. Loadout! You can see I've been running everything because I was a little low on all my stuff, so I went ahead and started throwing some boosters on. So keep that in mind when we see the result of the battle. We've got our alpha flag on there. We've got camo. I like the Type 3 Halloween camo on this ship. It looks really nice. I like that green. Also, I've got the epic booster for +3 to main gun range, +3 to movement speed, and -5% of reload time of the consumable. As you can see, I've got plenty of them as the standard, and you just change them over as needed to get to the epics. You know, do a few at a time. Now, survivability. 60,510 hit points. Not great for a battleship, but remember, we get a reduced amount of HP due to the Megalomania perk. But also, I'm not fully upgraded. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. I'm not fully upgraded. I still need to get the propulsion upgrade. Now, obviously, I'm not going to get any more hit points, but, you know, just keep that in mind when we look at the speed and whatnot. But, as you can see, 35% torpedo damage reduction is pretty nice. It's 10% better than the Iowa. It's pretty standard for most Tier 7 battleships, I think. Alabama being the standout with 49%, which is insane. The guns. It has 8 front-mounted, 2 turrets firing 4 guns each at 380 millimeters, and with the buffs, and that includes the booster for the epic battle, or epic booster, gives you 20-kilometer range. That is almost Iowa. Hello? Why are you doing that? Don't do that to me. I'm recording a video, Wargaming. Hello? I know. I gotta get into there. This is the first. I just got home from work, guys. So yes, we have got the reload all the way down to 24.2 seconds. Again, like I said, very sneaky for a battleship. Okay. Now I know you can get the reloads on other battleships down quite a bit too, but 24.2 seconds is sneaky. And these armor piercing aren't that bad. 180-degree turn time, 32 seconds. So not the worst, but not you know, the best either, obviously. HE shell damage 5,400 with a 36% chance to set on fire. AP shell 12,852, not bad. Not Iowa or Alabama or, you know, Amagi, Nagato, Colorado-ish, but not bad. 12,800, pretty good. Secondaries, it's got quite a bit of them. It's got 100mm secondaries. It's got 12 of them. And they fire at 5.3 kilometers and reload every 4 seconds, doing 1,400 damage maximum with a 6% chance to set on fire. But those 152s are actually very, very nasty as well. 5.3 kilometers, same as the other secondaries, but 2,200 damage potential and 12% chance to set on fire. That's pretty nasty for secondaries. And it has 9 of them. It has 3 turrets with 3 guns each. And they are turrets. So they can't fire at all the angles, obviously. But with very little trouble, you can get them to fire over the front of this thing. AA defense, if you guys care about that, which we don't at the moment because carriers aren't coming out until late 2020 at minimum. Maneuverability, 29.1 knots. Not bad. And that's with our nerf to our battleship speed due to the second gyrating drill bits, I believe, is the one that knocks out the speed. But because we kept it Legendary 1 instead of Legendary 2, we keep it at 29 knots, which is fantastic for a battleship. I mean, that's getting close to the Baltimore speed, which is 34 knots, I believe. But as you can see, 850-meter turning circle, not as bad as an Iowa, but not great. And the rudder shift time, 15.4 seconds, actually feels pretty good to me. I don't remember all the other battleships' rudder shift time, but it actually doesn't feel like it takes that long to get this ship to start turning. Now, concealment. It's battleship. it's bad. It's not the worst battleship, obviously. It's 14.6 by sea, 12.2 by air, 2 kilometers. Obviously, that's everybody. And the detectability while firing is 14 kilometers. And that's in smoke. So, yeah, not good. But, with that being said, let's take this puppy out for a spin, and I will see you guys in the video. Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight I just redid the intro again, didn't I? I've got to remember not to do that. But I apologize, let's move on. It's been a very frustrating couple of days trying to get this video out, and let's get down to it. So, our very first good game in the Richelieu. Now you guys know by looking at the previous part of this video that I do not have this thing fully upgraded yet. We are still missing the propulsion mod. But as you've seen me on Estuary many times, propulsion isn't necessarily the most important thing on this map. It's so small that you generally don't even have to go that far. But that doesn't mean we're not going to try. And we are going to get quite a bit done in this match. And this is by far the best match I've had in this ship. And if it's any hint as to what I have coming forward, I think I'm going to get along just fine with this ship. I make several mistakes in this match. And those mistakes add up after quite a while. So, with that being said, we have got to be very careful. And I will try to point out the mistakes that I made. So, as soon as we get to that point, I will let you know. Now, early on, we are literally just waiting for the enemy to see what they are going to do. Now, you can see I'm already starting to move. I started pushing towards the right. And I want to try to get ahead of this so that I can shoot around the mountain and hit this Tirpitz, who disappears. But I take a guesstimate. And with the accuracy of these guns, even without the extra dispersion, we still get an absolute devastating hit. Not a devastating strike, but getting a Citadel on a Tirpitz at, 17 kilometers is pretty fun. Now this Les Terrible is doing something very dumb, and that is putting himself out there to be shot immediately. So, yeah, we miss him. Unfortunately, trying to rush a shot, but, we are just going to use the ship to kind of turn. Now, I've said it in the beginning that this ship isn't the best turning ship in the world. It's not bad, and this is where I get into it doesn't feel like it's as bad at turning as, say, like the Iowa. Obviously, the Iowa's worse in turning than this ship, but, I mean, in general, like, the reactivity of being able to turn doesn't feel like that bad. And then the turning radius after that isn't greatest, but it isn't, horrendous either. Now, I get ready to shoot at the Kagero because anytime I see a destroyer, I'm going to try to kill it. Because destroyers are my #1 threat. And so, with that being said, unfortunately, this is one of the mistakes that I make. Is the destroyers are going to get around and do what they please. And that's not preferable. Now, we've got a Colorado out here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a shot on him. So I'm like, okay, let's look back to the destroyers, try to find a destroyer, see if I can get rid of one. Now, the Benson was on the right side, and this was, the ultimate in, just the most embarrassing thing that can happen. He got torped by a battleship. A destroyer got torped by a battleship. That's fantastic. Thank you, Shardhorst, for helping get rid of those guys. Now, I had HE loaded because I was anticipating a fight with destroyers, and this thing is very good at killing destroyers, especially with HE. I have managed to take all of the health of destroyers with a single HE salvo on this ship, so I was ready. But then, of course, I switch off of HE because I'm fighting battleships, and then the Kagero gets away. Now, remember that. Kagero gets away. He has no health left, but he gets away because, he's a destroyer, and I'm the only person that can actually shoot on my team, apparently. Now, we have a couple destroyers left on that side of the map. One of them is as far away from everything as possible. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe he's getting ready to torped this Tirpitz, but, it's not the best play, and there you see some nasty penetrations from this thing, getting 6 full-on penetration. No Citadels. 6 full-on penetrations for over 20,000 damage because he was angled too sharply. Now, when you have that turtleback armor, you don't want to be angled too much, because if you are, you're just asking for penetrations. We might not citadel you, but just like the Scharnhorst, if you give too much, speaking of citadels, the Tirpitz and the Bismarck have a nice weak spot in their turtleback armor under the second gun, and that's where I like to try to hit. Especially at some sort of angle like this, because it seems like the turtleback armor just doesn't affect the shell at this angle. Now, if they're straight on, yes. If they're completely broadside, or if they're angled like that, you can get good penetrations and consistent penetrations on both the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, and get consistent citadels as well. And remember, these are only 380mm guns. Imagine what the 16-inchers do to them things when they get those kind of shots. Now, the Amagi, he's realizing pretty quickly that I'm a pretty good threat. Now, sure, we have a couple destroyers out there. I say a couple. We've lost 2 of them quickly. And that leaves just the guy that was back here not really doing anything. Now, that guy's going to get on my nerves. And I know I shouldn't be telling people how to play the game and all this stuff. I hear it all the time. Spartan, quit being an armchair general and blah, 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 blah. But when I see somebody on my team making obvious mistakes and they don't seem to be doing anything to help the team, I generally point it out. Now, here is my first mistake. I stayed put too long, knowing the Kagero was still out there, and I take a torpedo for it. Torpedo reduction is not too bad on this ship. I think we said it was 30-something, 36%, I believe. So it's not bad. But I have slipped myself into the best position right now to get some disgusting shots on the enemy team who don't even know I exist. Look at this Leon. How you doing, sunshine? Those 16 guns treating you well? Have some of my 8. Wait for it. Pow! We get a 2 penetration, 1 overpin, 1 bounce, and a citadel. Not bad, taking us over 100,000 damage. And we got a long ways to go, folks. So, yeah. This is where I make my second mistake. Now, we've already taken a torpedo. And I am trying hard to not take any more torpedoes from that Kagero. So I'm going to be using the island to my left as kind of a, anti-torpedo defense, just not get tanked. But there we get citadeled by the Amagi, because I had drifted too far forward. Now, we were in reverse, so there's not a whole lot I can do about that. I was kind of hoping that my armor would be a little bit tougher in that situation. It isn't. You give the side of this ship up, you're going to get citadel. That's just the way it is. This thing is designed to go forward, not give broadsides. That's why all the guns are in the front. So anytime you get a chance, you want to avoid that. Now, we had some server lag, as you can see, a little bit going on, but that's not going to make up for the stupidity that I have coming up. Now, again, I am asking my destroyer that's slowly sneaking up on me to go after the Kagero. The Kagero has no health. He could easily kill him with his destroyer. It's a Benson. It's got fantastic guns, but instead, he opts to come up here. And I tell him again, dude, go after the Kagero. I can handle battleships. It's not a problem. So he comes in here and starts throwing torpedoes, because that's what you do. And he's also well outside of being detected by the guy, but he starts his smoke screen. So he tells the battleship, hey, there's a destroyer here. He was never spotted. So by throwing a smoke, he guaranteed that he was going to miss those torpedoes. And, of course, he does miss those torpedoes. Now, we back up a little too far, and I'm starting to feel like there's potential to get absolutely wrecked by torpedoes. And I'm not wrong. The Kagero's still out there. And we take another shot. We take most of the rest of the health of the Colorado. He launches his torpedoes, and out of spite at this point, I'm not even going to, hide it. At this point, I was so frustrated with this destroyer, I'm like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to reload before you get those torpedoes there. I'm going to kill this guy just to prove a point. I have this situation under control. I don't need you right here. Your smoke screen isn't helping me. You didn't get any torpedo hits. You were not needed here. That's why I said, please go after the Kagero. And I wasn't being a jerk. I wasn't, nothing like that. I'm just saying, please do your number one job first. Your number one job is A, spotting, B, taking on destroyers, and then feasting on the corpses of battleships. Now here's where I make my final mistake. I start pushing forward. Now I've got one Colorado out of the way. I've got another Colorado there. The Amagi was starting to push around and have broadside shots on me. However, instead of just creeping up and using the island, I kind of went full throttle ahead. They knock out my front gun again, and that is the one downside to this ship, is because you have all your firepower in the front, you start getting hit a lot in the front, you're going to start losing guns, and we get a nice Citadel hit on the Colorado. Now, I should have known, by pushing out past this, that the Amagi was not the only threat to me at this point. And lo and behold, as I get ready to finish off, hopefully, this guy, I get a torpedo warning, and I'm like, oh god. And not only did I get a torpedo warning, but he played it so freaking well. It only took one, but he was going to get at least 3 on me. So, well done to the Colorado, or not the Colorado, but the Kagero. Now, we still have the game in hand, in theory. But as this Benson has demonstrated prior to this, he has no idea what he's doing. And he is just going to throw his ship away. He's completely missed an Amagi point blank with torpedoes once. He's detected by said Amagi. He's inside 4 kilometers. He doesn't have a smoke because he burned a smoke earlier to sit in front of a Colorado that was 7 kilometers away from him that couldn't possibly spot him unless he started firing his gun, which he didn't fire his guns. So there was really no reason for him to use his smoke screen while sitting next to me and firing torps at the Colorado. I'm not a destroyer player. You guys know this. But even I know that. And, of course, the Colorado does what Colorados do, and they take out the Atlanta. Now, luckily, the Colorado immediately dies, thanks to our other battleship. So that leaves an Amagi and a Kagero versus a Benson and 2 battleships. Now, again, this guy has sat around inside 4 kilometers of this Amagi for so long that the secondaries have been hitting him. The main batteries have been focused on the battleship, and he's launched another salvo of torpedoes at this Amagi. Surely, this time, he will hit the Amagi. Am I right, guys? Those look pretty good. Except that they're not. Once again, he fires the torpedoes behind the Amagi. And he dies by the secondaries of the Amagi. So he finishes that entire time without actually getting any real significant damage whatsoever on any of the battleships that he was trying to torp. And our Colorado, while he has fought admirably against this Amagi, is giving way too much side to those 16-inch guns. And as we demonstrated with our 380mm guns, that those 410mm guns will have no trouble penetrating the side armor. Luckily for him, this salvo bounces harmlessly off the side as he realizes his mistake and turns towards him. Unfortunately for him, there is a Kagero right behind him, and that means torpedoes are on the way. Thanks to fantastic torpedo detection, he sees them coming, he can avoid, but he's got too little health and there are 2 ships trying to kill him. He gets one last salvo off, and no! How do you miss from 7 kilometers? How do you lead a guy too much from 7 kilometers? Ouch. And that just leaves the King George. King George versus a Kagero and an Amagi. Time is running out, only a minute and a half to go. The only chance that we win this is that he gets into the cap and starts capping so that the points of the enemy team stop accruing and ours continue. But unfortunately, there's just not enough time left, leaving us to lose the match, as you guys can figure out. So for the next couple minutes, I'm just going to talk to you guys about a few things. First of all, is the new audio thing in the game as far as you can toggle off people who are talking to you, which is fine, and I believe it starts as off as default. I think from now on, I'm just going to stay completely out of chat. I'm just not even going to bother. Most of the time, nobody listens to you, and then when people do try to listen to you or do hear you and acknowledge you, the other times they're just like, oh, shut up, just go back to port. Okay, yeah, okay. You know, not being helpful at all. So, I think from now on, I apologize to those who enjoy, like, ending up on a team with me, and they usually find out that they're on a team with me due to just me talking at some point. So, King George does a good job, dodges the torpedoes, but I think I'm going to avoid being in party chat, or not in party, but avoid being in game chat anymore. It just isn't worth it anymore. It's not worth me getting salty at teammates, and, you know, it's just not worth it. So, we're going to keep doing what we do, and if the teams work out, they work out. If they don't, they don't. So, we're second on the top, or second on the leaderboard. Schornhorst, who torped the Benson on the enemy team, top of the leaderboard with us, and the Benson on our team that we're talking about for so long, bottom of the leaderboard, and he was the destroyer that survived the longest on our team, so that tells you how effective he was. So, with that being said, me and the Richelieu, I think, are going to be just fine, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.